Two straight facts. I'm joined by Sava. Been away a while. He's been on holiday. He's been relaxing, but he's back on the terrace now. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you for having me on. You okay?
Yes, cannot complain at all. Bit of a heavy night with the boys last night. We were out with Ray and his nephews for a while, and then it was boxing, UFC. So it was a big night, but feeling a little bit vulnerable. But aside from that, mate, I am all good. I'm all good. Yeah, enjoyed myself. Yeah, reliving my youth. It was for party as well. I went out in the car and ended up having to stay out because I couldn't drive home in the end. But we were cruising around East London and Shoreditch, roof off the car. Like we're all like pushing 40 and 40. My mate's 43rd birthday. Like we're acting like a bunch of kids.
Do you know what? Your body's going to hurt until about Wednesday now. So just strap in and just breathe it in, mate. Just breathe it in. You'll be fine.
No, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. Viewers, do us a favor and hit the like button. Please make sure you are subscribing. Lots to talk about today. David Raya to Arsenal. We're talking Mbappe and talks of a Liverpool loan move for him. There's some rumors that Chelsea could walk away from Caicedo. We're looking at Harry Kane and his potential exit away from Tottenham, and we'll touch on a bit of Man United as well because there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of rivals behavior yesterday. When a lot of lies and a lot of craziness yesterday when Man United's the announcement came out that Højlund is coming to the club. And there's someone in the comments who's saying, Terry, please explain why no video. Why no video for what? Exactly. I don't know. You have to specify what you mean. You mean like City getting beat? Yeah, listen, I do work a lot of hours. I work 7 days a week. I am entitled to some amount of time off and chill out with my friends and relax a little bit. But yeah, look, where to start today? Do you know what? I'm going to start with a little bit. We are going to get into Arsenal. We are going to get into Chelsea. But I wanted to start with a little bit of Tottenham, really, because the big kind of news circulating at the moment is that Harry Kane is on the verge of joining Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
That's obviously going to generate a fair amount of income into Tottenham. But my understanding is you're not particularly happy with, your summer activity, your signing so far, the performances that you've had during pre-season and your preparation for the new season. Am I right in saying that?
Look, it's Tottenham. It is the history of the Tottenham, as I think it was Chiellini who said that, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's start from the beginning. If we're looking at pre-seasons and how not to prepare, Tottenham are the benchmark on how to do that. Look, we flew out to Australia and then flew to Thailand, then flew to Singapore. We've now flown back to London. We've got a game at home next Sunday against Shakhtar Donetsk. And then 48 hours later, we're playing Barcelona in Spain. So another flight to Spain and flight back. So we're traveling around the world. And in all that time, Terry, we've played Leicester City. No, we haven't. That's a lie. We played West Ham's B team in Australia. We had a game cancelled in Thailand, which was with Leicester City. So, apparently it's monsoon season over there, but we decided to go out there on our pre-season tour anyway. And then we've played a club called the Lion City Sailors, who finished like 4th or 5th in the Singaporean league. We don't play our next pre-season friendly until next Sunday. So when I'm going to bed at night at the moment watching the Premier League summer series, right? All these teams playing each other from the Premier League, proper good games, they look really intense.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching Spurs line up against the Lions City Sailors, still not able to keep a clean sheet against the Lions City Sailors. And listen, I'll carry the rant on, Terry. We've sold one player in 6 weeks, which is Harry Winks to Leicester City. We've ripped up no contracts. We've signed a free transfer, a guy who was in the last year of his contract that got relegated, and a cheap goalkeeper. No one ever tell me Spurs are a serious club or a big club. We're an absolute disgrace. Other than that, I enjoy supporting Spurs. It's all right.
I am going to interject. We are going to come back to Tottenham because there's some breaking news. Some breaking news from David Ornstein here, and this one's going to come as a little bit of a shock. He's been linked to Newcastle, he's been linked to Manchester United, but Chelsea have reached an agreement in principle with AS Monaco to sign the defender Axel Disasi. Disasi, it's pronounced Disasi. No talk on the price there, but Chelsea has set the sign. That's a new. It says here the 45 million is what they're looking at here. 45 million euros for the 25-year-old French international right centre-back option. So Fofana obviously out for a considerable time. Chelsea have now gone and got an agreement in principle for him, which is, again, it's an interesting one, as I say, because Man United and Newcastle were linked. He's a highly touted player. When someone's linked to your own club, you do a little bit of research on them, and a lot of people have spoke about this guy being a very good talent. So look, big bit of news there for Chelsea. They're getting business done. You know, they've signed a few players. They've got rid of a lot of people. They do need to add to their midfield. But what do you make of that deal, Sav?
Yeah, look, Chelsea, they've been pretty quiet on the incomings, apart from lots of youth signings, right? They keep signing these players from all over the world. Some of the Brazilians that have come in, Italians have come in. Look, they needed a centre half. Obviously, it didn't help their preparations with Fofana getting another really bad injury. Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. They've gone out, they've acted swiftly. They've got a centre half. I assume they're going to do the same with another attacking player and another midfielder and a goalkeeper. So Chelsea are just doing Chelsea-like things. So I think he's a good player as well. Good player, this lad.
Yeah, listen, I said this when Man United were linked to him. I didn't know too much about him when we were first linked, but you always have to go by what you read. When you don't know a player, compilations are okay, but it's about what you read. I've read a lot of good things about him in terms of when you really scouting reports, and I always say to people, for a Chelsea fan, don't go and read a Chelsea website tomorrow's scouting report. Go and read one from 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But his age profile is good as well. 25 years of age. He's not a kid. And I was saying to Chelsea fans a few weeks back, and by the way, I'm just taking the thumbnail. That's why I'm looking this way while I'm talking. Chelsea needs some older players like this. I think this is important for Chelsea because he isn't a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old. He's 25 years of age. And I think they need a player or two that are just a little bit older, in my opinion. If you get where I'm coming from, it's almost... You can't have too many kids and expect they'll get better, but they need that. So I think 25 years of age, very good age profile, very talented player, technically good on the ball, but he's quick, he's strong. And I think they've missed that at the back since Rudiger left, if I'm being honest with you. So this is a very good piece of business for Chelsea, in my opinion. Chelsea fans, I'd love to get your take, your opinion on this right now in the comments section below, in the live comments section as well. Remember, you can check out Sav's channel, Football Heritage TV. The link for that, by the way, is in our description below. So you can go and check that out, people, when you get a chance. There's a question here, actually, that says, Terry, what do your guys' thoughts on the experience within the Chelsea squad? We kind of touched on that, but how do you see Chelsea's sort of season shaping up, Sav?
Yeah, look, I think what they've got is that they're almost at the point where Poch was with Spurs after he'd had a year to get rid of all the older players in the deadwood. So I feel like Poch has come in. He likes this. He likes the younger, hungry players that he can mould. I agree with you, though. I do feel they probably need a couple of experienced heads in there. You know, they've got Sterling for an experienced point of view. They've got Thiago Silva. But listen, I think they're going to be much better this year. I still think they've got a bit of work to do. I think they need a keeper still. I'm not sold on Kepa in any way, shape, or form. I think they I know we're going to touch on it later. I think they desperately need another central midfielder to play with Enzo Fernandez. Although that the three young midfielders they've got, I think are very good in Chukwuemeka. Is it just Caicedo and also Santos? They all look really good. So I think they're building something. I think if Chelsea fans are patient, I know they're not good with that because they're used to winning. I think if they're patient and they give Poch a year to kind of mold that team together, I think they could be. I think they could be good. I think they could be a good team.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're absolutely right. It's about time. Time is going to be really key, and they've got to give it to the manager because, listen, and they're also linked with a new goalkeeper today as well. I read Sanchez, that was the Brighton keeper. So it's interesting that Arsenal will get onto David Raya a little bit later. You've got Axel that Chelsea are now looking to sign. And I was only saying a few days ago, the transfer market's kind of gone to sleep a little bit. Man United have been very active and busy, but they're the only club. And I keep getting people message me. And the last 2 or 3 weeks, Terry, all you've really done was videos on Arsenal. Then you moved on to United. I said, well, who else is doing anything? Like legitimately, who else? What other clubs out there are doing top business? There was very few of them indeed that were doing it. And like Chelsea now stepping up their games, they need to add those numbers. The Premier League kicks off in under 2 weeks now. That's the crazy thing. It's come around so quickly this summer because the season was protruded and went on until June. You had 2 weeks of international football, and it's only really a month, 5 weeks off, and pre-season kind of preoccupies you a little bit. But I think Chelsea are doing something really interesting. The news today, though, that was really intriguing to me was the news that came from the Football Insider that they could be pulling away potentially from the Caicedo deal. So I don't know whether that is gamesmanship, public negotiations, almost, well, we'll step away and go for somebody else to try and force the hand a little bit of Brighton, force the hand of the player to maybe push harder for that move. But I watched Brighton play a pre-season game on Friday, and I watched about 45, 50 minutes of Brighton versus Newcastle, and Caicedo just looks a sensation. If Chelsea can add him in, now I know that we said they need experience, but he for me is a sort of exception. Some young players are the exception that prove the rule. I think it doesn't matter that he's 21 odd years of age. I think that he will help transform that midfield. Him and Enzo together. Yeah,
that's the key, isn't it? That's the key. Him and Enzo together, growing and building that partnership, I think will be very good. Look, I make you right. It could be a bit of mind games if this is true. I always caveat everything I hear in the transfer market if it's true, right? There's so many reports. But listen, I think if they do pull out, it probably means they're going somewhere else to get a central midfielder. I desperately think for them, they need one. I think, as I said, they've got lots of good young midfielders, but I think you've got to have someone a bit more solid alongside Enzo. And I think that Caicedo knows the league. He's proven in this league that he can do it. I think that would be a really good signing for them and a worry for other clubs. But look, they want like 100 million, don't they? It's gone mad. It's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy money. The weirdest bit about this deal for me has to be the way Caicedo's people are like, we don't even think we're worth this much. You very rarely hear that from a player in this circumstance. They're like, we're not. And I think they're right. As brilliant as he has been, it's 18 months. Declan Rice, yes, he cost more, 100 million base. I know there's 5 million of add-ons to add on top of that. Declan Rice is 3, 4, 5 years proven in the Premier League. Just want to captain his team to a European trophy. He's also got more commercial value. So I just don't see that Caicedo is as valuable as Declan Rice when you look at what he's achieved, his age, his experience. He's a captain, he's a trophy winner, and his commerciality being an England player, you're more commercially viable in the UK than Caicedo, who is not a superstar by any means. So I do think it's a little, I wouldn't even say cheeky. I do think Brighton are taking the proverbial a little bit with the price they're setting. However, they have the contract. It's a seller's market for them. It's still a seller's market.
Listen, that's their prerogative, right? Their prerogative is to set whatever price they want. And let's be fair, if you're going to set that price and the bidding club is Chelsea, you know you're going to get there or thereabouts, right? It's not like they're setting that price for a club like Villa or Spurs or someone like, you know what I mean, who's not going to spend that. Chelsea have history in this. So, look, if Chelsea want him, go and get him. If not, what will be interesting to see if they do pull away is what do they then go and do? Who else? I haven't really seen them linked with any other top centre mids. Lavia, again, young. I'm not saying top centre mid in terms of age, but Lavia, again, is he on his way to Liverpool? Would he go to Chelsea? So I think it's going to be a really good last month of the transfer window, unless you support Spurs.
Look, I think Chelsea's is interesting. I'm actually going to watch their full pre-season game tonight that kicks off at about 7:45. Viewers, if you're a Chelsea fan, I'll be doing a match reaction to that as well, as I promised. I want to try and take a look at least. I did actually watch your game against West Ham. I want to watch at least one pre-season game of all the top 6 teams.
Yeah.
Just to have an idea of what they look like. I know City lost today, which was nice it's always nice to see City lose, even in a pre-season game. But with yourselves, we'll come back to Chelsea a little bit later in the show, people. We've got Arsenal news to come. We're going to touch on Manchester United and Liverpool as well on this show. Any questions, feel free to send them in to Sav or me. Do you think Kane's going to leave? Do you think Harry Kane is going to leave Tottenham? Do you think that Bayern are going to get this deal done with Daniel Levy?
Oh, tell you what, I think if ever I go to type anything on my WhatsApp in predicted text, it automatically changes it to Harry Kane now or Bayern Munich. I've talked about this. So listen, look, I think all signs point to he doesn't want to be here. If I'm brutally honest, I mean, look, all the reports are saying that he's not going to sign a new contract. I don't blame him. Why would you? This is the twilight of his career now. He's got 4 or 5 years left. This is a big move for him, whatever he does. Is it going to get over the line with Daniel Levy? That last 2 words, Daniel and Levy, that's the problem here, right? Mm-hmm. Daniel Levy is a pain in the backside to negotiate with, to deal with. A lot of Spurs fans, Terry, their stance has gone from you must keep him at any costs, right? You've got to keep him, to hang on, you're not signing a contract, right? Levy, you've got to get some money for him. And I've always been of the opinion that I think if the number begins with a 9, I think if it's a 90 million sterling plus, I think then you've got a deal on your hands. All the reports are saying that Bayern are going to come in the next 48 hours with a 100 million euro bid, which is 85 million sterling. I think that gets them to the negotiation table. Then they can start talking about add-ons. Is there going to be, like, for example, Matthias Tell coming the other way? All those types of things. Pavard's been mentioned, all these things. So I want him to go. If he doesn't want to sign a contract, I want him to go. I think it would be the worst bit of business in the history of football if Harry Kane walks away next summer for a free. I truly believe that. Let the new manager have some money. Let him build and start a new era without Harry Kane. And I don't think it's as disastrous as a lot of Tottenham fans make out, Terry. I think for years we've been a one-man team. It's been everything we do in midfield goes through Kane. Everything we do up front goes through Kane. I think this new manager's way of playing, the pressing and the intensity, I think you're going to see a team game rather than a one-man team. So this is the perfect time for me. Move him on. Thank you for everything he's done. No hard feelings because we failed you to a degree. Take the money and move on.
I could not agree with you more. Sometimes losing your best player can hurt a club. If that player is key to a system that is well-oiled and you just can't find a better replacement. I don't feel you have a well-oiled system. Not right now. I think you did with Poch, but I don't think you do now. I think you may say, the famous example that always stands out in my mind was Everton's season, the year after Wayne Rooney left, where they came 4th, where people predicted them to get relegated with Rooney leaving. Right. And they came 4th in the Premier League, their best Premier League season I think they've ever had. Definitely their best with David Moyes. And I almost feel that at Tottenham, and this has kind of been created by Poch and by Levy and by the dynamics in the dressing room, the Champions League final for you was a key indicator for this, that no matter what happens, Harry Kane's the guy. And I think starting him in that game, dropping Mora, who got a hat-trick in the semi-final, arguably, well, barring maybe in the Bill Nickerson era, in my opinion, one of the most famous moments of your last 40, 50-year history, to drop him and throw in an unmatched fit Harry Kane is the problem with Tottenham. All the pressure is on Kane to deliver, but all the responsibility is given to him and not the other players. And I think if you take Harry Kane away and Postecoglou is smart about this, you suddenly go, right, Son, pressure's on you. Madison, you're new, but pressure's on you.
Yeah.
Pressure on you. You spread that out amongst the team, and you may become a better team, because last year is a prime example. Harry Kane was amazing, but you weren't a very good team. And that's what's more important with this. And I was saying a few weeks ago, and Spurs fans always think I'm trying to say this like to have a pop at the club. And I'm saying, I think the worst thing you can do is keep Harry Kane this summer. You're going to lose him for nothing next year.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you all know your owners don't like to spend. So if he goes for free, that's even less money to invest into your club. And what you don't want to, selling him to Bayern Munich is the best case scenario. I think second choice at this point would be to a club like Man United. The worst case scenario is he leaves for free and joins a Chelsea or an Arsenal next summer, which I don't believe is beyond the realms of possibility, because I don't think football players.
I think Arsenal is beyond the realms. I think Chelsea,
maybe.
though. I think Chelsea, though, with Poch and look, do you know what? If you look at last season's Premier League, and you look at a lot of these seasons now, we've talked about this before, Terry. The kind of 30 goal a season man in football is drying up. Yes, you've got Kane, you've got Haaland, you've got Benzema, you've got Lewandowski. After that, there's very few players that do that regularly. I don't think there's anyone that regularly, Osimhen had a good year last year, didn't before that, So for me, I think the way football's going is you've got to spread that round. Look at Brighton. Look at Arsenal last year. Both finished above us. Arsenal's top goal scorer was 15 goals? Yeah. Brighton's top goal scorer was Alexis McAllister with 12, right? I think for me, I don't listen, Terry. I think we're similar age. In my lifetime, I've seen Glenn Hoddle go. I've seen Chris Waddle go. Gaza, Lineker, Sheringham twice, right? I've seen Carrick go, Bale go, Modric go, Berbatov go. At the time, it feels like the end of the world. Then you realise, hang on, you just play a different way, right? Everything starts changing. You play a different way. And for me, look, if he goes, he goes. I'm at that stage now where I'm not going to cry about it. He's a great goal scorer, but everything comes to an end. We've been lucky. We've had him for a decade.
Absolutely. And you probably, I said it about 3 or 4 years ago, you should have cashed in on him when you could have probably got £200 million for him, and you should have reinvested that. And sometimes losing a star, I've seen my club do it when we've had brilliant teams and we had to lose Beckham. We had to lose Stam. We had to lose Rude, because sometimes it's personal. Sometimes it's a player slightly over the hill. Sometimes it's, Beckham's was more to do with Fergie didn't like the distractions for the squad because of his celebrity status that arrived. Ruud van Nistelrooy's situation wasn't that he wasn't a great striker still. It's that there was a personal problem between him and Ronaldo, and Fergie's opinion was Ronaldo was going to become a better player than Ruud. So he's like, I need to move one of them on and pick him Ruud. And he obviously got that one right. Sometimes you need to sacrifice. You need to say,
sure,
you have to, to move forward. You've got to cut something adrift. And it's really important to do that at times. I just think keeping Kane, it's almost short term, it will feel good. But in the longer term, I think it'll be very, very damaging to Tottenham to do it, especially if he goes and joins a bitter rival like Chelsea for nothing. Imagine they get him for nothing. And they get 3 years of him scoring 25, 30 goals a season, and suddenly Chelsea go and win a Premier League and a Champions League with him. That is going to hurt. He goes to Bayern Munich. Do you know what I liken
it to, Terry?
Go on, mate.
Do you know what I liken it to? Obviously, you're going to remember this. Many years ago, you guys decided to take Berbatov from us on the last day of the transfer window. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And very nice of you to give us Fraser Campbell back in the other direction. Right. Now, when we just won the League Cup, so this was 2008. We just won the League Cup, and we had our strike force was really good. We had Berbatov and Robbie Keane, really good strike force, and we lost both of them in the same window. And the short term without them, what actually happened was we went into the new season with One Day Ramos as our manager, and in the first we battered everyone pre-season. By the way, like we beaten like Roma 7-1 and things like this, and we actually took 2 points from our first 8 league games. Right, we were bottom of the table. One Day Ramos got sacked, and what we did was we bought in.
Harry Redknapp came in.
Harry Redknapp, right? So we bought in Harry Redknapp, and Harry Redknapp, a couple of shrewd buys, not massive money, not world stars. He went and got Wilson Palacios from Wigan. Yeah, you'll do me there. All right, Bale, you go to the left wing instead of left back. Yeah, look how that ended up. Modric, you go from left wing, you come and play in central midfield. You got Jermaine Defoe in for not a lot of money, right? So my point to saying this is, from there, Spurs started going like that. So that's when we then climbed the table. The next year was the first year under Redknapp, at all, that we'd made Champions League football. And we had 3 or 4 really good years of no we created superstars like Bale and Modric. They weren't we didn't buy them as superstars, right?
No.
But Redknapp created a team with an ethos. Everyone worked together. There was no one superstar at the time until Bale made that his own. And we looked really good. I think something similar could happen here with Postecoglou, who's very much like Redknapp. He's a man-to-man manager. You know, he's very much about galvanizing the squad, playing attractive pressing football. But some fans can't see past Harry Kane. And I hear fans saying, we're going to get relegated. No, you're not. We're not getting relegated if Harry Kane goes. We're not. You've got James Maddison, who gets 10 to 12 league goals a year. Sonny, even in his worst year last year, managed 11 league goals. Kulu will chip in with some goals. Richarlison will grab 5 or 6. I'm not going to put too much pressure on him.
But this could be the making. But this could be the making of Richarlison. So it's and I would say again, one of the things at Tottenham, you've actually signed some decent talent who have been backup strikers to Kane in the last 8 years. Where when you've signed them, there's been hype around them. But due to a lack of game time, and I truly believe the notion that they know that even if they deliver, they're not starting.
Yeah,
that causes that. Like Kane has been undroppable, and the problem is when you're Kane has very rarely let you guys down. But when someone's undroppable, it's a knock-on effect that can have within a squad, almost like teacher's pet. You know, the person at work that gets away with being late and being rude. If you do it once, you get dragged into the office, and it's like, hang on a minute, why does he get away with it? They can become problems without being disrespectful themselves. It's going to be very interesting, and people are laughing at Richarlison. Listen. The Richarlison you see play for Brazil and the Richarlison I saw for a good period of time at Everton was a lot better than Richarlison last year. I'm not saying you will, but if you'd have said, as you said back in 2008, after you lost Berbatov, that we're going to move Bale from left back to left wing and he's going to become one of the best wingers in the world for the next decade, you'd have been laughed at then as well. Luke Skywalker here says, smash the like button. Yes, please make sure you're doing that, people. This here says, for the comments package today, just write something like, Terry, you king, keep up the great work. Oh, thank you very much, Dawson. I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment on that. Arsenal news to come. We're going to be talking a little bit of Liverpool as well. There was some other Chelsea news I kind of forgot to mention as well, because I'm struggling to say the guy's name, but they also did sign another young DM yesterday, a 19-year-old. Yeah. And I want to say his surname is Agu Chukwa. That's how I want to say it. If I'm butchering that, somebody tell me, and I apologize. I will say to Chelsea fans, ask him. I know very little about him. I've read a couple of scouting reports. Seems pretty good. I've read 2 different reports from Chelsea fans. One saying that he's going to go on tour and he could be part of your squad. Another one saying that he's probably going to go to Strasbourg. So, yeah, I don't know too much about him. I'm not going to pretend to know too much about him and act like he's this absolute superstar. I don't know much about him, but you have signed him and that was done and over the line. They're also looking at Olise as well.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I heard that Man City wanted Olise, and I think that's the best place he could go and learn under Pep Guardiola. But I'll be honest, I don't know anything. If I've not seen a player play, I'll just say it, right? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know a lot about this guy. I looked him up yesterday. Look, the problem is Chelsea signed so many of these sort of 18, 19-year-olds from around the world. They're not all going to work out, right? Some will, some won't, and you've just got to wait and see. But look, they're not messing about, and the deal came from nowhere, didn't it? Like some deals are talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks. This was just like Chelsea have signed someone. You're like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know anything about him, but I'm guessing he's not a mug. But, hey, we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt about it at all. And look, I think at least there's a good link to them. He's also heavily linked to City as well. See where they get him in. City are an interesting one. I've watched bits of their preseason. They've had moments where they look good, moments where they don't. They've lost a bit of experience. They haven't really signed anybody, which I always think's bad no matter how good you are. I know Kovacic has come in. They're probably going to get Guardiola, but I don't know. I just feel like that. It sounds like a lot of people would say it's a stupid thing to say, but I feel like it's not the best preparation ahead of their season. And I just think they're leaving the door slightly ajar. I'm not saying that they're going to ruin their season, but I feel like they're leaving it slightly ajar because you always need to add. I always remember, I read Gary Neville's book and he said the 3 seasons after we did the treble, him and a lot of the teammates in the dressing room didn't feel like Man United added enough. And yes, they won the Premier League title 3 years on the bounce, but he felt that they just went a little bit stale. And yes, they're the best team in England, but they maybe should have had a bit more success in Europe. I remember Arsenal fans kicking off. They did the Invincible season, didn't sign anybody of any significance. And I just feel sometimes, and maybe it is going to be Guardiola later in the window, but I just feel like they need to add a little something.
I think Terry, I think they will. I listen. Do you know what I think we can all learn as football fans? I think what we've seen in the last 5-6 years is this keeps happening, right? They keep doing these sort of things. Everyone goes, "Oh my God, they've let go of this player and they've let go of that player," and blah blah blah. They always seem to get it right. Pep Guardiola tends to get it right. Apparently, the Villa Brentford game's a banger at the moment. But they always seem to get it right. They do. What will happen is, they won't start like a house on fire. What will happen after 10 games if they're 5, 6, 7 points behind? Everyone will go, "Oh, they've lost it. They've lost it." But you just know they'll get it right. So I looked at their 11 that started today. Then I looked at players that are on the bench, and I thought, Jesus, look at that squad. Plus, they're going to add. I fail to believe they will not add to that squad.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola's almost said as much. He's like, the window's not shut. We're going to do some business. And look, he's just got options all over the park. They'll get it right. If I was a City fan, I wouldn't be worried in any way, shape or form. They do this every year. And I've got them in my books. I've got them down to win the league by more points than they won it this year. I think they'll stroll to victory again. They've more than anything, they've just got the know-how. They've got so many people that know how to get over the line, and the main one being Pep Guardiola. So, and I think that's what I think Liverpool, United, and Arsenal are chasing down this year. It's that know-how to get over the line.
Yes, they're my favourites as of right now. Still, even though there's been a bit of criticism from me in terms of they haven't done a lot of business as of yet. But as Pep has said, and I put Daniel's comment up here, that he says that things will happen, and I'm sure City fans 110% trust him, as you've said. So I'm sure there's no kind of panic coming in from them at all. But a lot of City fans say to me, "You haven't covered us much this summer," and I'm like, "Yeah, but there ain't much to cover." Like, you're not really linked to anybody. The Guardiola news kind of died down a couple of weeks ago when the leak came out, and I'm sure it's just gone quiet because both clubs are just keeping their heads down, and it will probably resurface again.
Do you know what will happen, Terry? You know what will happen? This is the difference between a big club like that and then a small club like Tottenham. It will just come out of the blue. City have put boom down for someone like Olise. Do you know what I mean? It will be, and there'll be none of this haggling over 2-3. They'll get it done. Yeah. And I think that will happen. But the thing is, if you're Pep, when I look at Arsenal needed a Declan Rice, right? They knew Xhaka was going. They needed reinforcements to bolster their squad. They needed a Timber to add more depth at the back. For them, these were big deals that they had to get in. It was like, these are fundamentals. City, for me, they've got this luxury of, it's nice to bring in new players, but we don't need to rush, because Pep Guardiola's got this habit of any new player that comes in, unless they're a superstar, unless you're Erling Haaland type player, he blends them in slowly, right? So it's not like Spurs. We need centre backs badly. Yeah, it's not like that. Theirs is like they're buying Vardiol, but yet they've got Ake, Diaz, Laporte, Stones, Akanji. Do you know what I mean? So I think if I was a Man City fan, I'm completely comfortable with what my club are doing, with what my manager's doing. Football fans are mad. Football fans are so reactionary. I'm seeing online, "Oh my God, City lost to Atletico." Oh my God, it's pre-season. Like, does City care? Like, are City going to sit there now going, we're not going to win the league. We just lost to Atletico in a pre-season friendly. It's just madness. So I think they'll be absolutely fine. City, I think they'll win it. For me, I think the better conversation, not that we was debating who's going to win the league, I think it's the three behind them. And I do think it is three behind them. I think that's going to be the more exciting race.
Who are the three that you put behind them, Sav?
Liverpool, Man United. That's my four. Not in that order. That's my four. I can't see. I don't think Spurs are going to be anywhere near it. I think Brighton are going to have another good season, but I don't think they've got the big guns to compete. Plus, they've now got Europe, so that would be interesting. Newcastle are going to go from one game a week to playing Champions League football. I think they're a very good team. They're very well organised, but have they got the depth? So I can't. And Chelsea, I think, will have a good year, but I still think they've got to settle and have that one game a week with the new manager's ethos and philosophy. So I think it's definitely Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool. That three for me will be second, third, and fourth in some way, shape, or form.
It's really interesting because I look at Man United, obviously, as a Man United fan, and there was a lot of toxicity towards my club yesterday when we got the deal agreed for Rasmus Højlund, a very talented player, highly skilled, huge ceiling, and I think he could set the world alight over the coming years. And I'm actually impressed with our business to a degree. I'm not the biggest fan of Mason Mount, and everybody knows that, but I trust my manager, so I'm staying reserved on the situation.
Sure.
But we've gone and got, for the first summer that I can remember, we've got 20 to 25 million pound off the asking price of every player that we've gone in and negotiated for. We've got the manager so far, and as far as we're aware, he's number one or number two targets in said positions so far. We've missed out on Kim, which was disappointing, but we've gone and got his number one goalkeeper. We've gone and got he's not his number one striker. We know that was Kane, but Rasmus Højlund was a young striker up and coming that he wanted. For whatever reason, he wanted Mount, and he was desperate for Mount. So I'm going to trust him in that kind of process around what we're going to build. So I'm really excited about what Manchester United can do. And the fact that we've gone and I know that we're doing good business, and I think you may not agree with the players, but I think you'll agree with my point here because you're not a biased rival fan.
Yeah, I'm not. That's what people hate about me. Do you know what makes me laugh? Sorry, I'm reading some people in the chat that are like, "Who's this salty Spurs fan?" Are they listening to what I'm saying about my own club? Like salty, like it's like just some Arsenal fan in your chat. He comes into my comments and he's like, "Stop talking about Arsenal." And I'm like, "Dude, you keep coming in and asking me questions about Arsenal. I'm going to answer it." And he's like,
what am I going to? Yeah,
like you hate us. And it's like, well, I don't. You are my rival club, but I said I think Arsenal will finish third this year, and you would think, right? You would think that I've said they're going to get relegated. Honestly, you are salty. You don't know anything.
This is the thing. So the reason I know Man United are doing good business is because rivals are lying about how much we've spent. They're doing this whole, that's it now, you got to win the league thing. And players that were all season, players like Onana, players like Rasmus Højlund have been mentioned in my comments. Rivals are plenty have spoken about how good and great they are. Suddenly, Amrabat, who we're heavily linked to next, from the World Cup until the end of the season, everybody said, "Oh, baller, I would love him. Please can my club get him?" Now, suddenly, those three players are mid-levels and Man United have gone backwards. They've lied about how much money the manager spent. Even journalists are going, "Oh, he spent 406 million now." No, he hasn't. He spent 360. You're adding 40-odd plus million pound onto his total spend, which isn't hugely significant, but it's almost a case of, why are you lying? And I know why. It's because you're shook, because you're thinking, God, not only are Man United getting the players the manager wants, we improved last year, we're signing good quality players, and we're actually, rather than overpaying for these players, which we've done so much of that in years gone by, so much of it. The summer will start with our saga and it will be Leicester want 80 million and taking no less. And we spend the whole summer arguing we're going to get him for less, and then we end up paying 85. The fact that we've gone and got these players cheaper is such a good sign that we're operating better. Now, I'm not a fan of the Glazers. I don't care about this good summer. I want them gone. I'm never changing my opinion on them as far as I'm aware, as far as I'm concerned. Even if we win a major trophy, I still want them to go. But I have to credit where credit's due. We've done really good business, and I think we will be closing that gap on City at the top. Still make them favourites over us. But I believe we'll be anywhere between 10 to 15 points better off next year.
You'll be closer.
I'd love it if we could land Harry Kane as well, and I'm throwing him as an example. Then I think we've genuinely got the ability to finish in front of City with someone like him. Without someone with him, I think we'll close the gap. City will have too much for us, but I think we can close that gap on Arsenal. I think nothing's a guarantee, but I think we've got a massive chance of qualifying back for the top four and doing well in the cup competitions. I'm very excited about what Man United do.
Do you know what I look at? I'll tell you what pees me off as a rival fan. I say rival. I don't know who we're rivaling anymore. Like we're down there rivaling Brentford, to be brutally honest with you at the moment. We're an absolute shambles of a football club. Sorry, I have to get my Spurs Every now and then I'm just dropping little. But what I rate about United's window is whether or not rival fans rate the players you're signing, right? Is that all the players you've signed so far have been your number one choice in that position. So as far as I'm aware, it was bang, Mason Mount, we want him, done. We want Annan as our goal kick, done. Yeah, Højlund was the strike, done. Right? Next will be Amrabat, done. And that for me is how you run a football club efficiently. It doesn't always have to be what the fans want. It doesn't always have to be these amazing footballers, right? Or it doesn't always have to be the world's best. If the manager wants them for his system and for his philosophy and he gets his first choice, it's good and it's bad. And the good thing is he's got them. The bad thing, or not the bad thing, sorry, that's the wrong word. It puts pressure on. It's the pressure because then you turn around and go, all right, Ten Hag, you've got your guys. You've got your first choice players, right? Not going to be like Postecoglou. Postecoglou wants Tapsoba. We'll end up getting Clement Longley, right? That sort of thing. You've got your first choice players. So then the pressure is, okay, we finished, what was you, third or fourth last year?
Third.
Okay, we finished third. Right, what's the plan this year? Is it a title challenge? Is it getting within 6 or 7 points of City? What does that look like? And that's where it puts pressure on him, but that's a good pressure to have. Because as a manager, all you can ask for is that your owners have listened to you and made the deals you want happen.
Well, this is like I've said about Arsenal. I'm not a big fan, just like with Mount, I'm not a big fan of Kai Havertz. But to get him for 60 million, I think, yes, there's 5 million of add-ons that have gone on top of that. But I kind of say to Arsenal fans, I know I'm not a fan of Kai Havertz, but your manager's success rate when it comes to his main signings has been very good. So based on him typically getting it right, I'm not saying you should be jumping for joy at a few players that you're not buzzing for, but clearly your manager knows a little bit more than you do. So put a little bit of faith into it. Doesn't mean you can't have an opinion, but it doesn't mean you have to go over the top. And that's how I kind of feel about Man United's deals. But you are right. There is definitely pressure, but that pressure has to exist at Man United. By the end of this window, we will have given him about £400 million towards this squad. That doesn't mean I expect him to be the best team in England within, remember, we're only starting our second year. We're not actually 2 years in. We're 1 year in. I don't expect him to catch City right now, as an example, because they've had 7 or 8 years of working on their team and their system under Pep Guardiola. But I expect us to continue to improve. Which
is why I don't think anyone will catch them. Do you know what? Can I just say sorry? Because when the Arsenal fans call me salty, listen, I don't think it matters who buys what this summer, right? I don't, whether it's Liverpool, you, Arsenal, I don't think it matters who buys what. Man City have built this over time. Man City have built this squad and this philosophy and this winning mentality over, as you said, 6-7 years now. That, for me, is priceless. You can't do that over a summer. You can't. That takes time to implement that. And listen, I think you'll be right up there. And as I said, I think between you, Arsenal, and Liverpool, it's going to be really, really interesting to see that unfold. I think Chelsea will be the next what I do. I do think Chelsea will be fifth, if I'm brutally honest. I think Chelsea will be there. I think Villa will be a very good team. I think they're making some.
They could be.
Again, first choice. Again, look at Unai Emery since he's been there. He wanted Moreno, the left back. Is it Moreno? It is Moreno, isn't it? Got him. Pau Torres, he wanted him. Done. Moussa Diaby, done. Wrapped up in 7 days. Again, good manager, winning manager. So I think it's going to be interesting. I do think Man United, if they get this right, could finish second. But Arsenal will feel the same. Liverpool will feel the same. And it's all about luck as well. Keeping your players fit. If Onana suddenly tore his ACL on the first game of the season and Højlund...
It changes everything. Right. And that leads into this super chat. It says, so now Ten Hag's got his players. Well, first of all, I'll stop you. He hasn't completely got all these players. There will still be individuals at the club that he didn't sign or he hasn't given renewals to. So it's still going to be at least one more summer for him, in my opinion, to clear out every player that he doesn't want and to have a complete squad that he has built. So that's what I would say. If you finish fourth with less points, would you sack him? there isn't a simple answer of yes or no. There just isn't, Dawson, because if we finish fourth with one less point, but we win the Champions League, would I sack him? No. So you have to, if he finishes fourth, 10 points less, goes out early in all the cup competitions and we play awful and we haven't progressed and there's no real reason, like we've had no major injuries, then my answer could be yes. My answer could be yes. But you have to contextualize it for me. I need to know what else has happened. There is no simple answer to that. You know, maybe all of the top teams get less this season because everybody beats each other more and everybody improves. You have to contextualize these things, and it's very difficult to look at. But I'm excited about what Man United are doing, and I know rivals don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. I think we're moving in the right direction. I've still got reservations over how long we can keep the growth up with the Glazers as our owners. And people will say, but they're spending. It's never been about their spending. It's been about their continuation to spend. It's been about them not pulling the rug from underneath the managers. We've seen him go 2 summers on the bounce, giving Jose what he wanted. He got to the 3rd summer where we needed just that little bit more to go to the next level, and they said no. And this is what my owners have done. We could have a great season this year, win an FA Cup, get to the Champions League quarters, come second, 5 points off top, and then the manager says, right, we could do with adding an Osherman, or we could do with adding what? And they go, no, you got your striker last year. That's you done. It's going to be substandard players. So we have to, again, I'm remaining level-headed, but I am going to speak my truth, which is, or my beliefs, that I think Man United will improve this year. Whether we come second or not, I don't know. I think it depends how well Højlund hits the ground, because we need more goals. But I think Amrabat is going to be a massively important deal for us. To have him in the middle, and a lot of people look at him as just, he's like a Casemiro. He's not. He's very different from Casemiro. Passes the ball better, progresses the ball better. Them two as a pivot will be a very hard team to break down, a very hard team
I would not want to play in midfield against those two. If I'm brutally honest, I wouldn't want to play against them too. I think that the key thing here is what, like, everyone is always trying to get everyone sacked. Like, whenever I read football fans' comments, it's like, do you sack them if this happens? Sack. It's like, listen, if you look down the the Premier League history throughout the Premier League era, other than Chelsea, who are the anomaly because they changed managers so often, all of the teams that have had sustained success have been the teams that had their manager for a lengthy period of time. You've got Alex Ferguson at Man United, right? You've got Jose Mourinho, right, at Chelsea when he came in. You've got Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, Pep Guardiola now at Man City. As I said, other than Chelsea, who are they were just, theirs was purely just world-class players after world-class manager.
And if you look at Chelsea, sorry to interject, Chelsea, from when all the other teams started getting more money, so from the new TV deal money of 2014, look at the regression in their Premier League titles and challenging for them. As soon as everybody else caught them financially and they couldn't just spend more than everybody else, the model of changing managers regularly has led to a point now where they haven't even challenged for a Premier League title in 7 years, the best part of a decade. They had that Champions League win, but most Chelsea fans that ever come on the terrace, good people, will all say that Champions League was amazing. We loved it, but it papered over huge cracks at the club. Yeah. And the recycling of managers, when everybody else can spend similar amounts to you, doesn't work. You need a long-standing, I know people hate the word now because it's overused, but you need that long-standing club philosophy with a coach building it, and then you need to pick the right person. Look what you guys did. If you guys would have bought someone that was a better version of a Poch to take over when he got sacked, you wouldn't be here now. The fact you went for a completely opposite manager in Jose, then to a Nuno, Conte, and now you're going back to a more progressive manager, it's crazy. So it's really,
the problem with all of this is football fans want everything right now, right? So you've got so many clubs now that feel entitled that they should be winning trophies, and there's only limited number of trophies every year. The problem is, if you keep sacking managers every year, 18 months, 2 years, the whole philosophy of the football club changes unless you are run well, unless you are run very well, and the next manager you drop in is like for like, right? This is the problem. It's not just the first 11. It's the squad. It's the youth team. It's the scouts, the recruitment directors, the director of football. If you keep all of that, in tow for 4, 5, 6 years, everyone's on the same page, right? Yeah. And that's where, if you look, all of these things come to an end. Of course they do. Like Arsenal under Wenger were brilliant. It was horrible being a Spurs fan watching Arsenal dominate. But then when it comes to an end, then you have to go again and evolve. That's what United did by bringing in Ten Hag. But any fan now is like, oh my God, if he has a bad year, get him out. Jesus Christ. Can we give some managers more than a year to 2 years? Like,
yeah, I think, mate, I think it's absolutely spot on. This here says, Terry, why are you saying Højlund is a talent? You didn't know who he was. What was facts? Now you're coming like you have football knowledge on this player. So I'll tell you how it works, Donny. When I was born in 1985, when I was about 6 or 7, so in the early 90s, my dad was listening to an album by a singer called Stevie Wonder, who had brought out about 15 albums before I was even born and had been famous since 50s, 60s, whatever it may be. In my lifetime, I've listened to his albums, I've read about him, I've researched him, and I now know that he is a great artist. The fact that I didn't know him once upon a time doesn't change the fact that he's a brilliant artist. So the fact that a year and a half ago, I didn't know who Rasmus Højlund was, but since then I've watched him play, I've researched him, I've read about him in terms of professional in-depth scouting reports, watched countless footage of him on Y-Scout, which is not a compilation videos, if you look at all the elements of his game, gives me, in my opinion, the ability as a football fan to say, I think there's a real talent in there. And that is all I've said, is there's a real talent in there. So you don't need to know who somebody is today for you to rate them and think they're brilliant at acting, singing, playing football in a month, in 3 months, in a year's time, because it's about when you discover somebody. End of the day, I remember saying that I thought Haaland was great 3 or 4 years ago, and I was laughed at. Everyone said to me that he was the Scandinavian Lukaku, and he was awful, and he was never going to make it. Look how that is now. We get some predictions right, we get some predictions wrong, but it's called research, and I'm very sure that this kid's a talented player. So yeah, you don't need to know someone today to rate them in 3 months' time in any capacity, my friend. So yeah, it's a little bit of I get what you're saying. You're saying that I can't like him because a year ago I wasn't too sure who he was, but by that logic, we can never rate any footballer. Because at some point you discover a footballer for the first time, and based on your logic, you can never rate them, because think about what you're saying. You can't rate a footballer that you didn't know before you knew them. Deep that. Think about your logic, bro.
Yeah. Listen, as I've said a lot. The more I've done YouTube, it's critical thinking from people. Critical thinking has gone out of the game of football now. Everyone's like, sack him, sack them. This kid's rubbish. Like you saw it there with this new centre-half Chelsea are signing. Straight away, people, he's rubbish. It's like, I mean, that's not a sentence. He's not rubbish, is he? If you play centre-half for Monaco and Chelsea are buying you, you're not rubbish. Try putting in something that means something. Like, listen, I've watched him. He's good at this, but lacks here. But he's rubbish. Oh, he's shook. He's this. It's like, these aren't descriptions. These are just feelings, emotions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's but this is the point. People say you've got to have watched him. Like I said, I have watched him. I've watched games where he has played. I have done that.
He's a good player. Højlund's a good player. Yeah. Is he this? Look, unfortunately now, Terry, and I was having this chat with Rance earlier on in the week, and we said, unfortunately now, when you're buying centre forwards, especially centre forwards, there's not, as we said before, there's not many 30-goal a season men like there used to be. So now, unfortunately, 60, 70 million is for the potential that they're going to have. Because who are you going and buying for 60 or 70 million? That guarantees you 30 goals. Can anyone name me a striker out there right now you can buy for £70 million that has a track record year in, year out for banging in 30, 25 goals a season?
Do you know what's crazy about this? This is what's crazy about it.
They won't be able to name it, by the way.
No, they won't be able to. This is the thing as well. People say, but Højlund was only like 50, 60 million. Højlund had a buyout clause, okay, which made him far cheaper than his actual value. If there was no buyout clause with Dortmund, he would have been a 200+ million pound player. So I agree that Haaland's better than him. I absolutely agree.
I love the people putting in Harry Kane in the chat. You ain't getting Harry Kane for 70 million, my friends. We've just turned that down. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's not happening. You look at Victor Osimhen. They're talking 150s plus for him. And that's the starting position. You're talking double the price. And this is the thing. There are no There are no young strikers with the talent this kid's got that you're picking up. And by the way, we're paying 64 million for him. That's the price. The rest of it is add-ons that we only pay if we win major trophies. And I can guarantee every viewer this.
There you go. And Victor Osimhen has only ever hit over 20 league goals once in his career. Right? That's what you're talking about. 140 million is the price tag for a bloke that's had one top season.
And bro, this is why we have to sign him now. 64 million pounds is a lot of money. But I'll tell you why we have to do it now. Because in my opinion, next season in Serie A, he will score that 20 plus goals and then he'll cost you 140, 150. The price will double. And then you're in a situation where then Man United would be laughed at and everyone would go, you should have paid 64 million for him when you had the chance. There are times when you just got to act. And Man United haven't sat on our hands here. We messed up with Caicedo. Should have got him for £4 million 18 months ago. No, we weren't too sure. Didn't want to waste the money. Glazer didn't want to give it to us. They weren't listening to our then manager. And if we want him now, he's going to cost over 90 or to £100 million. Same difference here. Yes, your base is a lot higher because he's already started to deliver goals in one of the top leagues in the world. But it's the right thing to do, in my opinion. And he's very, very talented. And again, if anybody else's club was signing them, you'd be buzzing about it. There's some here. This says, stop talking like it won't be Pep versus Klopp again. Could be. It very much could be.
Could be.
Ten Hag wanted Kane and Kim Min Jae. Not all targets acquired. So, yeah, but we mentioned Kim as an example, and he did want Harry Kane, but he wanted Højlund as well. Like, Højlund was always a target this summer, whether we got Kane or not. So, again, I'm not saying you're maybe you've done it, Steve. Read the full reports. That's what's said. So he was our kind of number one target for an up and coming striker.
And you've not bid for Kane, and you haven't bid for Kane. We haven't
bid for him. This year says, so is he saying it's impossible to overcome City?
That's aimed at me. No, I'm not saying it. Every team eventually it runs out, right? You come to the end of an era. I just don't think City are there yet. We just watched City have half a good season and win the treble. If you go back to January, I remember when I was coming on your shows, Terry, and everyone in the chat was calling me a salty Spurs fan because I said City would catch Arsenal. The problem is they will get caught at some point. Just in my humble opinion, I don't think it's this year. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think a lot of things will need to happen for someone to catch City this year. And the problem that the other clubs have is, like you saw last year, Arsenal were one injury away from their defence collapsing. Man City are never one injury away from anything. They're never one injury away from anything, are they?
No, I hear you on that.
So,
speaking of Arsenal, a massive bit of transfer news today, out of the blue, really. I have a big opinion on this, but David Raya from Brentford to Arsenal. I have seen a few things since we've been live that his deal to Bayern Munich is now off. He wants to go to Arsenal over Bayern Munich, which I think, look, Arsenal fans will love that. It's a big victory. Like, Bayern Munich are arguably a more famous club, more prestigious club with their Champions Leagues, but Raya wants to stay in England. He wants to play for Arsenal. And in my opinion, they're going to say now it's competition for Ramsdale. For me, he's a better keeper than Ramsdale, especially with his feet. And I think that's an area that Arsenal need to improve on. And I think it shows. And I agree with you, City are the favourites. But this ruthlessness from Arteta, in my opinion, is something that's been missing from Arsenal for 2 decades. Where in years gone by, but Ramsdale's good for us. He's a good character. Oh, Rambo, we love him, or whatever it is they call him. And I think they'd have stuck with him. But I think their manager's seen an opportunity to say, listen, David Raya is better, or potentially better. No matter what he's done in the last 2 years, we can get a better goalkeeper in who makes us a better team. We have to act. That is a kind of ruthlessness. By the way, and Pep is renowned for it. Bought Bravo, didn't work. Bang, Edison straight in. If you don't work out for him in a year or two, you get replaced, and you need to be ruthless. And I think it's a worrying sign for rivals of Arsenal if this deal goes through, not just because of the quality of David Raya, but the ruthless nature that he's demonstrating that he has in his dressing room.
I think if they have cited Raya as better than Ramsdale, that's not on any fan to decide. That's on Arteta, right? Because I don't think you're going to buy Raya to be your number 2, are you? So if you buy Raya and you put him in as your number 1, what that does show you is about building a squad. about strength in position, strength in depth, which is what Arsenal ultimately fell short of last year, which is what we talked about last year. Very good team, but didn't quite have enough depth. Now, if you've got Raya and Ramsdale as your two goalkeepers, if you've got Saliba, Gabriel, Kiwior, and Timber, you've now got, again, forget what fans think of him. If they've signed Havertz because they believe in him or whatever, you've got more options in the front line. You've got Declan Rice, who for me is a massive upgrade on Granit Xhaka. So they are doing the right things, Arsenal. They are. But listen, fair play to them. They're doing everything that I wanted Spurs to do when we got Champions League football so many times. This is what I wanted Spurs to do. Go out, act like a big club, be ruthless, and try and build a squad. Is it enough? Listen, we won't know the answer to that question because there's so many unknowns, Terry. There's so many unknowns. How are Arsenal going to cope with, they had the ability to change their 11. Not all 11, but for Europa League. Champions League, that's not going to be the case. You're going to go with your full strength team. So does that impact them? I don't know the answer to that. You don't know the answer to that. It's a wait and see. Are they going to go hell for leather in the cups? Or are they going to forget that and go all out for a title chase? Can Arteta rotate? That's a big part of this as well. Pep Guardiola, over the years, Mourinho did it for years. Pep did it. Klopp did it. These people show they know who to rotate, when to rotate, and why. Can Arteta do that? We'll find out this year. So I'm not knocking them at all. I think they're making some really good strides, but the proof is in the pudding. Everyone's heard the saying, the proof of the eating is in the pudding. Let's see what they do. So, look, I think they'll definitely be in the top 4. Can they win the league? I still think something's lacking. I don't know what it is. I think something is lacking for them. I don't know. Is it the manager? Is it that know-how to get over the line?
I think it's sure. When you say the manager, do you mean just in terms of he just doesn't have the years of experience and it's almost until he wins it, he's not going to, or not even wins it, but just maybe a few more. Maybe it's going to be a few more seasons of experience until he's ready to. Is that what? I get where you're coming
possibly. From. Look, I'll ask you this question again. I'm just posing questions. I'm not saying this verbatim, right? Before people go mad in the chat. If you gave Arsenal this Arsenal squad to Pep, I think they'd have more chance of winning it because Pep Guardiola is a master at what he does. Pep Guardiola goes into games sometimes and you go, oh my God, why is he not playing? Insert any player you want, right? Well, why is Diaz not playing today? Why is De Bruyne not playing today? But he knows how to get it right. He knows as well when his club are going through a lull, he knows how to mix it up. Now, you can't buy that. That is experience. So lots of people saying to me now, like me and Henry Wright always have this conversation. He's like, Arteta's got to win it this year. He spent 700 million. I said, but he's still not as good. They're still not as good as City. They can spend 700 million. You could spend $1 billion. If you are not better than the team in front of you, can you really say that manager should be sacked for not winning a title? I'm not sure you can.
It's no, I get where you're coming from. It's like people keep saying United have got to win the league, but you've also said Arsenal have got to win the league. What should happen if they don't? Again, you have to contextualize these things. I look at it this way: a few people in the comments are saying that it doesn't make Ramsdale rubbish because they're signing Raya. No one's saying Ramsdale's rubbish, but it's about improvements. I don't think Rashford's rubbish, but if we could sign Mbappe or Vinicius Jr. to play on the left, I would do it. I do think Raya is better than Ramsdale, but me saying he's better doesn't mean Ramsdale's rubbish. It's just an improvement in particular areas.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things for Arsenal, I've said this on a few streams, I'd love to get your take on this. It's about the manager, and this would show me he's learning. He signed 3 new outfield players thus far. He shouldn't feel forced or pressured into starting them straight away if they're not ready. So say Kai Havertz is still a little low on confidence and isn't quite ready to start. Don't be like, I've got to start him. I spent £60 million. Say Declan Rice is just a little off the pace. I've got to start him. He cost 100 million. Because that isn't what the great managers and title-winning managers do. They mix it up. They change things. They bleed people in slowly. It's almost, sometimes you've got to listen to fans and you should listen to people around you. There are other times where you've got to be very autocratic as a leader and say, I know what's right and I'm going to make this decision. And that's going to be very intriguing.
And that's not always popular, is it? That's not always popular with the fans. Yeah.
Not, because we all like it. Like I do in my head, I very rarely tweet about it because I just don't think it's something the world need to know about. But if we could have a League Cup game, I'm like, I really hope this kid starts. I really hope this player, and they're not even on the bench. It makes me angry. But that's just, and then when I deep it, it's like, I'm not angry because I think we needed to do it. I'm angry because I wanted it. Does that make sense? I'm of course. Like my son always wants more sweets. At some point, I'll say no, and he gets angry about it because he's 3 years old. You never really grow out of that. You just learn to control it. And sometimes, as fans, there's an element of, but it's what I want. And we all want our new signings to start because we want them all to deliver, so that nobody can give us any banter for them. But sometimes they do need to be bled in slowly, and you can get it wrong sometimes. You know, you throw them into
Pep's brilliant at, right? That's what he's brilliant at.
Klopp is the same, both of them.
Look, I just feel, look, I get it, right? There's so much tribalism in football. There's so much bias in football. I get it. It's great and it's good banter, but I take so much of it with a pinch of salt. I see, like, if I read so many comments, not in your chat, in any YouTube chat I'm in, you can tell who's mature and who's not. You can tell the stupid responses, like anyone your rival buys is rubbish. They're rubbish, right? I can guarantee you, half these clubs, half these fans saying to you, oh, Højlund, he's rubbish, bro. If their club had signed him, it would be, oh, this kid's generational. This kid's generation. You watch him. When another club signs him, it's this boy's a waster, as though everyone is a top scout on footballers. Like it's football. Football always be the same, right? We all want the players we want to start. YouTubers, we go out there, right? We put our neck on the line. We put our face to our opinion daily, right? So it allows people to come back and say blah, blah, blah. If you believed everything you read from every football fan, nothing would ever get done. Like nothing, I see Spurs fans right now going like, oh my God, we're going to get relegated if Harry Kane leaves. I see other fans going, we're going to be a better team when Harry Kane leaves. How can you have such wildly different opinions? Like it's absolutely crazy. But look, I'll always be a little less biased than a lot of fans. I think I've learned growing up, I join in with it and what they're not.
I join in with it sometimes, and other times I don't. I saw City lost today. I'm not going to banter them because I don't think losing in pre-season. There are some with the way Chelsea got beat by Arsenal last season. It was so foreshadowing for the season that it needed to be spoken about. City losing 2-1 today for me, it means nothing to me because I know how good they're going to be. So I'm not going to banter it, and it's a waste of my time. Someone here says autocratic. Yeah, autocratic basically means not taking into account other people's kind of wishes or opinions. Fairly tyrannical. And as a leader of a football team or a business, or even as the head of your family, sometimes you have to be, it can't always be a democracy. Sometimes you have to say, no, I'm putting my foot down with a firm hand and we're doing something. So, yeah, you need that in leadership at times.
Yeah, of course.
This year says everyone saying Ramsdale should be England's number one, good on the ball and distribution. Now everyone has done a 360 because of a couple of preseason games. Look, I can't speak for those people, bro. I can only speak for my opinions. I think Ramsdale's good. I think Ramsdale's very good.
Yeah, I think he's a good keeper.
David Raya is better. And he may listen. If he's starting, I don't think you'll spend £40 million on David Raya for him to sit on your bench. I think he'll come in and listen. He may do if Ramsdale goes up another level, and then it's win-win for you. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think both are very good goalkeepers. If I was to pick to sign one of the two, I would go for David Raya over Ramsdale. Although I think he's very good, my friend. So I'm neither me or Sav are saying that he's rubbish.
Do you know what it doesn't need to be in football? Sometimes, whenever like we're talking about two players, people always want to make one brilliant, one awful. It doesn't always have to be that. They can both be good players, right? I suppose all this matters. The only person it matters, right? It doesn't matter what any YouTuber says. It doesn't matter what any Arsenal fan says. The only person that decision matters to is Mikel Arteta. That is the only person whose opinion matters on who is better between Raya and Ramsdale. So I think if you've got both of them, first of all, again, how's he keeping both happy? There's a question. How do you keep both happy?
I don't think you can for more than one season.
Right, I agree. So again, but these are the things. This is what the experienced managers They've got their experience. That's why they know how to keep people happy. How did Pep keep so many players happy that get rotated in that Man City team, where in any other club they're playing every single minute of every single game? That's an art form. Yeah, Mourinho was great at it. Ancelotti's great at it. You name it. Klopp, Fergie, the top managers, they know how to do.
One of the stories I read, because I haven't read many books about other clubs. I read one about, I can't remember what Man United player it was about. I think it was Rooney. I think it was Rooney's book. And he said Fergie had this great way of dropping people. He wouldn't say you dropped. He would be saying something like, right, you're not starting the next game or the next 2 games. And it would be because that's because we've got the FA Cup game in 10 days. And I've got a plan for you on that day. I need you fresh and ready for it.
Yeah.
So he was dropping them for being poor, but he made them feel like he was doing it for the team in the future. And like Rooney was like, he was brilliant at doing that. And it kept everybody motivated. And the best managers are. We've got some more super chats here. This one says Ramsdale came in to be back up to Leno, and he got replaced by Ramsdale's hard work. Only the one working hard in training and doing well will start. Very, very true. Mr. Tybox says Arsenal buying a new keeper because Turner is going to move or first team football. Ramsdale just given a new deal. Fair play. And listen, some of you will believe Ramsdale's better, and that's again, I'm not even going to argue with you. It's that isn't.
Do you want to die on that hill? Like, I don't care enough about either of those two goalkeepers to die on that hill, right?
Yeah.
Like, all I know is if one of them was to pick up a really bad injury, you'll be really happy, Arsenal fans, that you've got both. So, but how do you keep them happy? That's the
big one.
That's the problem. Keeping them both happy.
Ibby here says completely agree. Rice has grown up with the West Ham tactics and that mindset. From that to such a different style can take time. Partey given time at the start, exactly, and they can't. Arteta's got to be careful with. Listen, he might click straight into gear. It doesn't matter. He may not. So you got to wind it up. Donnie here says no need for scouts, YouTube compilations. You're ahead of the game. Use Y Scout. Y Scout is literally it's expensive. It's like £600 a year. It's the best thing out there. It's literally every stat you can imagine for a player is on there. Their hold up play, their first touches. But for every stat,
uses that.
Yeah, for every stat, there's video footage. So you can sit there and go, what's his first touch like? And you can watch like 1,000, one after the other, of his first touches. That gives you that, and it's got full games on there as well, so you can watch the whole thing in flow. But you can watch certain. It's amazing, absolutely amazing to check a player out on. Are you gutted Spurs gave up on Raya, Sav?
Look, I would have liked Raya. I don't have the words gutted. I mean, I'm so used to it now. Like I just kind of expected it. The moment anyone puts a proper price in front of Daniel Levy, we kind of knew it wasn't going to happen. We went for the cheaper option. I wanted him as Spurs number 1. I don't make any secret about that. But look, we've got this new guy now, and I need to see him. I need to see. Do you know the problem is, Terry? Everyone's passing judgment on a new keeper. He's had 45 minutes in one game, 45 minutes in another, playing against West Ham, who didn't attack, and the Lion City Sailors, who didn't have any of the ball. I think we had like 81% of the ball. So I want to see him. I want to see him play. Like, we've got Shakhtar Donetsk and Barcelona coming up. Let's see how he does in those games. But you've got to give a new goalkeeper time. And I feel sorry for him. He's going in behind an awful, awful back four. That's the worry for him.
There we go. The problem is both are crap at penalties. Fair enough. Manny here says, Raya for home games, Ramsdale for away games. I see Arteta's vision. Gutted for Matty Turner. He's done a good job, but we need better. Yeah, you definitely do. And listen, maybe Raya's happy to sit on the bench. You never quite know. I don't think so, but maybe. Fans are sleeping on Villa. If they buy a right back, Villa's squad is only behind City. Cool. Emery is the third best keeper in the Premier League, only behind Pep and Klopp. So, Zane, you believe that Villa's squad is the second best squad in the Premier League? Wow.
I've been very complimentary of Aston Villa. I think they are showing my club how to do it. I think they've got a really good manager in Unai Emery. He's very, very experienced. He's a winner. He's gone in and sorted them right out. However, I draw a line, right? to say they're the second He's the third best manager, the second only behind City. Listen, I think they've made some great signings. I think Diaby is a really good signing. I think Pau Torres is a no-brainer. Emery knows him. I think Tielemans, for a free to give them midfield options is a good signing. I think they'll buy a couple more, but hey, I'm not quite sure about the second in the league.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit too far. What will Chelsea do when AFCON comes around?
What will anyone do?
It's a good question. I'd have to again.
Who are they going to lose? Who are they going to lose when AFCON comes around?
I don't know off the top of my head because I haven't checked the nationalities of all the players they've signed, and surnames are not always an indicator because obviously, like you look at England as an example, we've got many a player with surnames from that originate from different cultures, but I have to take a look. One thing I was very, very glad of was that Onana doesn't play international football anymore. Because you only lose him. D here says Sava versus Grizz Part 2. I need that. I heard about that, bro.
Me and Grizz are cool, man. It was we had a great debate about Trent Alexander-Arnold. It was really good, and it was my debut on the show. So it was funny. And now people talk about it.
I remember you messaged the group chat about it, and I went and watched it, and I was like, "Damn, that was good fun."
Listen, it's all good fun though. Everyone, I think people think that YouTubers have these debates and rows, and then like there's some sort of beef carrying on in the background. It's not like everyone talks to each other.
Me and Lee gonna fight a lot because we have very different views of football. It's straight back to strange like that because me and Lee fight a lot. Me and you don't really. Me and Big Steve don't because we see things fairly similarly. Me and like Sam, it's a little different. But like me and Lee can have a ferocious stream, but we don't talk about it afterwards. It's just we crack on as normal. Yeah.
Can I just say one thing? Like just before you read your next super chat, what makes me laugh is I don't know what people listen to. Now, someone will say I'm getting triggered. I'm not getting triggered. I'm just calling out when people are stupid. There's someone in your chat called Ruben Cheedy who said a Spurs fan slandering Arsenal because of their progress. I am pretty sure I've said the complete opposite of slander for Arsenal. I'm pretty sure I've said that Arsenal are doing good things. They're a really good team, and they've got a big test this year ahead. I'm not sure what I said that was slander. You got the wrong Spurs fan for that, my friend. Sorry, I'm just thinking to myself, what did I don't come on and go, oh my God, Arsenal are rubbish. They're terrible. They're never going to do anything. Just madness, man. Madness.
Cal here, one of our members, is a Spurs fan. He says that's actually mental. How we've not improved on the defense that conceded 60 plus is nothing other than gross negligence. Window went from 5 out of 10 in June to maybe 2 or 3 at a push so far. Disgraceful.
Mate, I don't know if you want me to answer that, but absolutely spot on. Do you know what, Terry? Last year, 5 clubs in the Premier League conceded more goals than us. 5.
Jesus.
Right? And 3 of them got relegated. So of the 17 teams that stayed in the Premier League, only 2 clubs had a worse defence, and we've not gone out. That should have been day 1 of the window. Boom, boom, 2 top centre-halves done. Nope. We've signed 3 centre-backs in 8 seasons. One of them is Davinson Sanchez. The other one is Rodon, and the other one is Romero. Like, it's absolutely shocking what's going on at Tottenham at the moment. And only Harry Winks has been sold. So Daniel Levy and Enoch out.
There we go. Shane here says, hi, Tel and FT crew. I see your video earlier. Totally agree. Why are rivals and some United fans hating on Ten Hag signing and decisions he is making? There's some... I've seen the United fans are doing it, but it's people like the Love United, Hate Glaze a lot. They're not Man United fans. Quite a few of their accounts have been exposed recently. People have found tweets from 4 or 5 years ago where they've been speaking about Liverpool very much from a fan's point of view. Like, oh, we really need to sell this player and buy this guy, and Van Dijk's amazing. So a lot of them aren't even Man United fans, firstly. But I just, look, for some people, and we all write negative things, we all say negative things in the football Twitter space, YouTube at times. But for some individuals, the only time they get attention or get listened to is when they're saying things that are so nasty or so extreme or so ridiculous, and they're addicted to it. The adrenaline and the dopamine release they get from doing it and the attention it gives them, it's a drug to them. They cannot physically cope without it. I've got to a point where maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that'll be deemed one day as cruelty, but I just laugh. I just kind of laugh at the fact that there was one tweet I saw that basically said, we haven't signed Højlund on football merit. We've signed him because he has the same agent as the manager, and the manager wanted to get his agent paid. And we did it that way. This is why it's warped. When we did it this way around, because then he's on like only 70, 80 grand a week in wages, which makes it cheaper for the owners. I'm like, okay, so the agent's going to get a 20 million pound fee because Ten Hag's going to make that happen. But we didn't buy a better striker for the same money because he'll be on more wages. So okay, so the 10 million we've saved by buying this crap striker in wages and giving it to the agent. If we'd have signed a better striker, we'd be paying the player more money. Therefore, the Glazers are not saving. They tried to word it, sorry, that the Glazers are saving money because of this deal. But if they were paying a more expensive player, more transfer fee and more salary, they're spending the same amount of money as giving the money in fees to the agent. So there's no money being saved. So it's even like but they're so warped, bruv. It's so weird. But like I say, it's just enjoy it and laugh at it, my friend, the super chatter, because that's all they do. That's all they've got. And I feel a bit sorry for them. Villa have 4 good wingers.
He's back.
6 great central midfielders, 2 good strikers, 4 great centre-backs, 2 excellent left-backs, 2 good goalkeepers, and 1 right-back. Please tell me other squads have such depth.
Whoa. I mean, where on earth do you start with this? 2 good strikers. I mean, Watkins scores you 15 league goals. Who else? 4 good wingers. I'm not sure you've got 4 good wingers. 4 great centre backs. Nah, I'm sorry, I am not having that. Are you
including Tyrone Mings in that 4 great centre backs?
Mings and Konza can't be used in the same word as great. I think Mings and Konza did brilliantly towards the end of last season. I think a fair play to Emery for coaching them. But I mean, the buzzwords this guy's using, great, excellent. It's like, dude, I think you're going a little bit overboard.
Zane, question for you, Zane, and I respect your opinion, Zane Shah. Where are Villa coming? So with a better squad than everybody else and the 3rd best manager, surely you're predicting them to come second. That could be the only logical outcome, is a 2nd place finish based on everything you've said. So talk to me. Emery may have deluded the Villa fan base, maybe a wee bit, maybe a little bit. You know what?
This is the thing, though, right? Like, everyone wants it right now. Like right now, I think if Villa fans are saying, "Do you know what? We're really happy with our club. We like the business we're doing. We like our manager. We like where we've come from in the last 4 years." I'll turn around and go, "Yeah, good. Get Europe again this year, and then kick on again." But no, they've gone straight from getting Europe for the first time in forever to Name a better squad other than Man City, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, like Arsenal's is definitely better. Man United, I mean, they've got players that you could argue could get into those squads.
Yeah, of course.
But Man United squad better.
Wow.
Arsenal squad better. I think Liverpool's better, in my opinion. But
yeah,
it's crazy to me. Listen, I want to say a big thank you to everybody that has tuned into the show today. Sav, always a pleasure to have you on. We'll be back again next week, I am sure. Viewers, please make sure you hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribing. Please make sure you've got the bell notifications turned on. And go and check out Sav's channel, Football Heritage TV. Link in the description below. Go and check it out. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again